Hello everybody, this is Danny
and Wanda
from Deep South Homestead.
and today we're going to be talking about our Homestead World. Liz Zorab in the UK and I came up with a collaboration to include everybody in the world in our homestead collaboration. So she and I are starting it out, and if you'd like to join us, you're welcome. We're going to start a playlist, see if we can get people from all over the world in our playlist telling about their homestead, and even we're hoping to just blow it out of the water with it. A lot of people joining our collaboration on our Homestead World.
We're about trying to create community, but not just necessarily right where we're at, or not necessarily just in the United States.
Yes.
We're trying to create a worldwide community. We're doing what no other homesteader is doing. We're stepping outside our boundaries and going worldwide.
Yes, and we have several channels that'll be joining us next week, but Liz and I are kicking it off today with our Homestead World.
Yes.
So I'm going to start out asking Danny a few questions, and he's going to give you the answers to the questions, and the questions will be in the description below. If you decide you want to join our collaboration, you're welcome to. Anybody in the world and anybody in the United States. So Danny, the first one is, where in the world is our homestead?
Our homestead is located in the southernmost part of the United States in a place called the Mississippi Gulf Coast. Now, we are not right on the coastline, but we are some 30 to 40 miles inland from the Mississippi Gulf Coast, which gives us a very unusual climate where we're at. We tend to have several different climates here.
Yes. So is it rural or urban, and what size is it, and what is the climate and weather like?
We are rural, and I know that's hard to believe when people think about the Mississippi Gulf Coast, but we are very rural. As a matter of fact, we have like 7,000 acres behind us that's just nothing but woods.
But how big is ours?
Ours, at this point, is only 10 acres, which we feel like is enough for us at our age.
Yes. And so the climate and the weather.
Well, sometimes, we start out in zone 8. Depending on the El Nino or the La Nina in the Pacific Ocean will determine whether we are in 8 or 9. Some years our weather changes so drastically because of the jet stream that it brings the colder temperatures further south later in the year, and therefore our zone fluctuates where we live at back and forth just a little bit. Now, it's nothing drastic, but we have learned that if we're going to plant anything here that is successful, we look for things that are zone 9, because lots of times we are hotter than we are colder normally.
And also, our growing season.
We have about a 265-day growing season here where we're at. Now that we have a greenhouse, we have a 365-day growing season.
Yes. And what kind of animals do we have?
We have
a variety
of different kinds of animals. We have pigs. We have chickens, both meat and egg-laying chickens.
We have biddies that are...
We have the newborn biddies
coming up.
that are coming along. We have turkeys. We have 2 different breeds of turkeys that we have here. The turkeys are predominantly for meat. They're not for eggs. Mm-hmm. We have goats. We have several variety, I don't guess variety would be the right word, several different breeds of goats
yeah.
that are crossed. We don't have any one pure breed because we're not totally sold on pure breed animals, except for when it comes to a breeding male.
Yeah.
We have Nubian, Boer cross, Kiko Nubian cross will be bred back to purebred Kikos.
And we're using them for...
We're using them for meat. We're using them for milk, butter, cheese, all these different areas. Plus, what we're trying to do is breed a very parasitic resistant goat into them.
And you forgot the rabbits.
And we have rabbits also.
That's our predominant meat.
That's been our predominant meat source for quite some time. Yeah. We butchered quite a few rabbits to put in the freezer. We did have sheep, but we butchered them. And we will probably continue in the future with more hair sheep because we love the taste of the hair sheep.
Okay, next question.
Okay?
It says, what do we grow, like vegetables, grains, fruits? But it should be, what do we not grow?
I think it would be easier to say what we do not grow here. We grow a variety of vegetables. We grow both bush and pole and all beans. We grow corn, both the type and variety that I've created, plus other varieties that are, let me say this, all vegetables and stuff that we grow are heirlooms. We do not grow hybrids here if we can help it. We grow fruit trees.
We have probably, how many, like 30 different types of fruit trees?
We probably have about 30 different types
Some
of
of them
fruit
haven't
trees.
produced yet, but this year they're blooming for the first time.
Well, we had a colder winter this year than we normally
Yeah.
do, which meant that the chill hours was down. That's why I tell y'all, we live in zone 9 some years zone 8. This year we went up to a zone almost 7 because of the cold temperatures we had.
We have wild huckleberries and blackberries.
Yes.
All kinds of tame berries.
Any type of tame berry, just about, we carry here, just about. I mean, now this is not for sale, guys. These are for our own personal use.
Yes, and that was one of the questions. Do we sell or do we just do for our personal use?
We tried the selling thing. There's no way we can compete with big box stores. And plus, people are, I don't know, I guess you might say they're hooked on big box stores. They weren't really interested in having locally homegrown stuff. So what happened was we just eventually ended up stopping it because it just wasn't feasible.
And explain a little about how we grow crops, because we have a variety of ways here.
We don't stick to any one particular method because we believe in being, not having all your eggs in one basket, should I say. We believe in being diversified because one never knows with the coming weather pattern changes and everything as to what method of growing you'll be using, or even with age, what will happen with your age, because we grow in containers. We have some 150 to 200 containers that we grow in. We have monolithic farming, which we plant row crops. We do raised beds. We do hugelkulture. We do specialty gardens. I mean, there's all types of things that we do here on our homestead.
Yes, and most of it is without chemical fertilizers.
We will use some chemical fertilizers in things like cornfields because we do not have enough animal fertilized to cover, acres of ground for corn, stuff like that. So when we're raising feed for our animals like that, we will use some chemical fertilizers, not in large quantities because we do add other amenities to the soil, but just to give like corn that nitrogen boost, we will use some ammonium sulfate to actually boost that corn and get it up to where it needs to be, because unlike a lot of things you hear, a seed has a time frame.
Yes.
If you do not get from point A to point B in that time frame with the seed in its allotted time, it will actually go to seed and will actually produce no matter what size it is.
Okay, and two, with the vegetables, we predominantly do not buy vegetables from the store.
No.
We grow everything we eat. We can most everything. We do put things in the freezer. We do dehydrate. So we have a storage. How big is our cellar? How many jars?
We probably run close to 2,000 jars, 2,000 to 3,000.
Yeah.
Closer to 3,000.
So we have to produce here on our homestead what we do. And that brings me to the next question. Do we have make any money selling things that we produce or make here on the homestead, or animals?
We don't sell animals.
Well, we have in
the past when we had pigs. Well, we had some pigs that had litters of pigs.
I sold some chickens.
We did sell some of them, and Wanda had some chickens that produced above and beyond, and we didn't have any need for them other than there would have just been more meat in the freezer, which we didn't need at the time. And some friends wanted some chickens, so we sold them chickens. But we don't sell our vegetables. We tried it one time, but it didn't go over good. People thought we were a grocery store and could call at a moment's notice and think that they could just run out here and pick up what they wanted when they wanted it.
Yeah.
And it didn't work that way. So we don't sell vegetables anymore. We predominantly eat what we raise now. The animals we did sell, but now I do some woodworking projects. That's what keeps our Etsy store going. I do some woodworking projects. We do save our seed, and we do market some of our seeds that we sell.
Your books?
We have wrote 2 books that we are, well, let's say there's 3. One that has a cookbook.
Yes.
I have 2 vegetable growing books that we're going to have on the market here that we do use for a small income. We don't make much, but it's a small income.
Health issues. And how do they affect on the homestead?
Wanda and I both suffer from different health issues. Me probably more than her. I've been broken all to pieces before. Most every bone in my body has been broken. I suffer from some heart issues. I suffer from inflammation just like anybody else. Some post-traumatic stress disorders and things like that. So we do face a variety of health issues here that cause us to be limited in what we do, which is why I want to go back to the different types of gardening that we do. This is one reason we've started doing as many container gardens as we've doing, is because it prevents us from having to get on our hands and knees in the garden. If we can sit on our stool and work in these knee-high containers, it makes it a lot easier for us to grow some of our stuff.
And basically mine is just exhaustion sometimes. I don't really suffer from as many health issues as he does, but just simply last year having a heart issue myself and the exhaustion. That's my biggest thing, I guess you would say.
And 2, I've developed a gluten intolerance.
Yes,
and
that
I guess has been one of our really been one of our big deals. Is the fact
struggle.
It's been our biggest struggle, because now, even though I raise some of my own grains, I cannot tolerate any store-bought grains, but yet very limited of what I grow. As long as it's what we grow here, my body can tolerate small amounts of it.
Yes, and learning to cook without using a lot of additives and things has been the biggest struggle.
Yeah, because my system struggles with additives.
Yeah, any additive.
Yeah, we basically eat just plain.
Very plain. Okay, so how long have you been homesteading?
I have been homesteading almost all of my adult life. I mean, that's been many years. I'm not going into how many, it's just been many.
Yeah, and I was raised with a garden. My parents had a garden, but I was basically in a semi out of town, like outskirts of town on an acre. But I raised my children with a garden, but not really homesteading, just on a garden. And when I met Danny, we've only been married 5 years, not quite 5 years yet, and I was in the city. So I've not really been homesteading until I met him, and so less than 5 years.
Less than 5 years for Wanda. I mean, at 19 years old, from 19 until now, you can do the math, I'm 58 years old, I've owned my own farm.
Yeah.
And I say owned, I've owned it.
Yeah, I've canned and things like that, but not really had what most people would have considered a homestead.
Yeah.
Not to the extent. I've done some of the things homesteaders do most all my children's lives, but not really what we would have called a homestead exactly.
Yeah.
Do you like homesteading?
Do I like homesteading? That is a very unusual question. Yes, I love homesteading. I love the type of life that it causes me to have to live. Now, I understand that some people have a desire to live this lifestyle, but it is a very hard lifestyle. It's no glitter, no glamour. As a matter of fact, if you don't believe me, go back and look at all old family photo albums that go back into the early 1900s, maybe late 1800s, and look at the people. Look at their faces. Look at how they dressed. That will tell you what true homesteaders used to look like, because it was a very difficult life, and it's no different today. trying to avoid all the chemicals, the insect problems and stuff like that. The hard work that's involved in it, because it's a daylight to dark deal. 7 days a week. There's no breaks in it. I mean, animals have to be fed every day.
Gardens have to be looked
Gardens
after.
have to be looked after. It doesn't matter what day of the week it is. If it needs to be picked in order to preserve it in its perfect state,
and it has to be preserved.
It's got to be done, and it's got to be done quick. You know, I'll give it, for instance, English peas. I mean, time you pick an English pea off of a plant, you've got an hour, roughly, to have it in a freezer or canned.
And I like homesteading because it's what I've always wanted. It's been the desire of my heart. And just simply, it keeps me out of a city. It keeps me out of the hustle and bustle and having to go somewhere, always be on the go. I like the laid back, easy lifestyle. It's not easy, I guess, but the laid back lifestyle where we get up and do what we want.
Can we say this? It's a rewarding lifestyle.
Yeah, maybe rewarding is better.
I think that would be the proper way to put it out.
So I like it because this is who we are.
Yes,
we enjoy it. Okay, the last question.
Okay.
What is the chore or activity on a homestead that you like the most, like doing the most?
What is the chore or activity on a homestead that I like doing the most?
You want me to go first while you think?
You're going to have to let me think, because I love all of them, but you go ahead and let me think about what I would call my best.
Mine would be taking what we grow and turning it into something that tastes great. I'm getting to where that is just one of the most awesome things, either whether it's canning or cooking, creating a dish that people would enjoy. I think, to me, that's probably the favorite thing. I've got to where I really like that.
Well, I'm sitting here thinking, I guess for me, my favorite thing is to, and I don't know if you call this a chore or an activity or what you would call it, but my favorite thing is to take and turn the soil and to put a seed in and watch something grow from a seed and then nourish it. I mean, that to me, to bring life back into the world, even though it's in plant form, and watch the miraculousness of it as it grows, and how that God, once I put that seed in the ground, it's out of my hands.
Yes.
From that point on, it's up to God. And I love to sit back and watch what God can do with nature.
And to go out every day, because a plant changes every day.
Every day it changes its form.
It's like a newborn baby. If you watch your child every day grow up, you see different changes every day.
Yes.
Our English peas went from just barely popping the ground to within 3 days, putting little tendrils on, ready to climb on a vine. So it's awesome. It's awesome to watch nature at work in the garden.
It is. It's a life that, like we mentioned a while ago, it's very rewarding. It's not an easy life, but it's a very rewarding life.
So that answers our questions for our Homestead World. We'd like to know what each person has going on their homestead, because every homestead is different. Whether you're in the United States, which state you're in, which county you're in, even if you're in Mississippi.
Right.
It's going to change. And so we want everybody in the world to feel welcome to join Liz, Zorab, and I in this collaboration. If you do a video, let one of us know so we can add you to both our playlists. And thank you.
From Deep South Homestead.